that people would be building so many different things using blockchains. I mean, when I started, there was one blockchain and it was slow. Now it's still kind of slow, but there's a lot more blockchains, and that particular blockchain has done pretty darn well.
I want to reflect a little bit on your time as a lawyer in this industry. I know it probably hasn't always been easy coming up against some of the agencies in the United States. Talk to us a little bit about your journey up to this day, just for our audience to understand a little bit more about where you're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've been doing this since 2012, right? So I've seen a lot happen. I've seen a lot come and go. A lot of theories have been proven right, frankly, and a lot have been proven wrong. There's all these perennial doubters out there, the sort of professional critics that just are just consistently humbled by what this community and what this ecosystem have done. And I got to tell you, if there's anything I've been right about, which has been pretty darn little over the last, what is it, 12, 13 years, it's that the professional haters, the professional critics will continue to be proven wrong. Yeah, I mean, can you imagine just dedicating your whole career and your whole life to doubting something that it has a clear trend line that is growing so quickly and now has the support of its greatest detractor, the US government? I mean, imagine betting against something like that. And I'm not just talking about, the dollars and cents of the Bitcoin price. I'm talking about the ecosystem that's grown up around it, the support for growth. It's been staggering.
So kind of jumping on that, every, year or every cycle, let's say, I get emails, I'm sure Jen gets emails, I'm sure you've gotten emails from people who did invest in projects but maybe timed it poorly or, were new to this and got into it as things swung down. And one thing that strikes me is that we are now going to enter a cycle where, as you say, a former major, detractor of the crypto industry is giving its implicit and explicit endorsement. um, how do we make sure that, or how do we protect people from, uh, taking losses if and when this, market cycles again? Or is that, just people have to do their own research kind of question, not something that, you know, industry OGs can really.
I think we lost Nick there for a second, but Marco would love to just get you way in there.
Yeah, I'm happy to. I think I know what he was asking. I think what we need is clarity, and I think that's what we're going to get. I think that's what we're going to get. Look, there will forever be people who make money and people who lose money. That is freedom. That's capitalism, right? Not everybody is equally situated, and not everybody is going to be able to get rich off of some project, right? And not every project will make it. There's no question. Like this is how economies, a United States regulatory regime. I, for one, look forward to what the next 4 years are going to bring, and frankly, what the next 6 months are going to bring in terms of things like market structure,
Yeah.
in terms of stablecoin regulation, licensing, all of the things that would have kept businesses onshore, that would have kept businesses under a regulatory regime that even the most strident libertarians would have approved of, right? Anti-fraud, preventing theft, interdicting crime, not just the mere failures to register, but the true malum in se, the things that everybody believes is the what the government ought to be doing,
Hmm.
if they're doing anything to stop crime. I think that that's what we're going to see over the next few years. We're going to see regulatory clarity from uh, not only from the administration, which has promised as much, but also from the independent agencies. Just like Nick said earlier, I think we're going to get that clarity. I truly do.
We have Nick back now, but I want to ask you, Marco, while he gets his bearings there, have you had any conversations with the incoming administration, and do you have any intel into what we can expect as President-elect Trump comes into office?
Yeah, I've never shared any of the content of private discussions with government officials or regulators or anyone like that, and I won't start now. But I can tell you that, in my view, most of the conventional wisdom is is correct. I think that we are, like I said earlier, we are going to see clarity from the independent agencies. I think that's going to be part of what Congress expects from their agencies. I think that we're going to see a new era in friendliness toward crypto instead of the risks and benefits discussion, which usually ends up being, well, there are benefits, but let's focus on the risks. I think what we're going to see is a pendulum swing toward the middle where we say, yes, there are risks, but we can emphasize the benefits, we can support the benefits, and we can subsidize, in some case, the benefits from a policy perspective. We can actually focus on building those.
How soon do we get that regulatory clarity, do you think?
I think it starts on day one. I believe that the agencies, not only are they empowered to release guidance, but I think they are incentivized to release guidance that they haven't been able to, that for some reason, for reasons political or otherwise, that they haven't released up until now. And the SEC is a great example of that. You look at the U.S. Treasury and FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. They released an inch think of guidance in 2019 when the SEC was unable to do that, just for gosh knows what reason. And the U.S. Treasury's jurisdiction is criminal. The stakes are even higher at the U.S. Treasury. But they released guidance. They told us what they believed their expectations were of the industry and what they believed the law to say. And the SEC has failed to do that, right? I think on day one we can expect statements of policy. We can expect changes in litigation strategy. I think those expectations are fair, and I think they're real, and the SEC is a natural first place to start.
I just want to pause there believe we did see Melania Trump just walk in and stand beside Barron. We're looking live at the inaugural ceremony now in Capitol Rotunda. Marco, we're going to leave it there. Nick, I think we have you back.
Maybe.
Nick is back.
We'll see.
Nick, I'm going to give you the last question with Marco before we wrap up here and carry on with our conversations.
You're talking about the guidance. So, we saw. Did it freeze again?
You're still
Am I
here,
still
Nick.
here?
The joys of live television.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I mean, we saw the SEC have that kind of, attempt at guidance back in, I think it was 2019. This was, I think, staff level guidance. What do you think it's going to take for something more like, commission level guidance where it is something that will be, useful, let's say, for lack of a better term?
You're talking about not just guidance, but the promulgation of rules by the commission. I think that will take longer. I think that, and it should take longer, right? There's no question that people like Hester Peirce and Mark Uyeda have been thinking about these issues at the SEC for years. We've seen the product of that thought in their dissents over the course of the enforcement history. But when it comes to creating rules, you're creating law. Those rules have the force of law, just like whatever Congress would come up with. And it should take a little bit of time. It should take a little bit of time. It has to take into account the political realities of the day. It has to take into account the technological realities of the day, which frankly move a lot quicker. They move a lot more quickly. And when it comes to notice and comment, you don't want 30-day, 60-day turnarounds. You want enough time for the industry to comment, enough time for the staff to digest, and for the commission to decide. So I don't think we're going to see new laws on day one. I can tell you that with high conviction. But I do believe that in the early days of the administration, we could and we should see guidance. And I think that guidance should include a change in litigation strategy. What the prior administration has done is tried to create market structure via litigation that is unprecedented. And to be sure, in the past, The commissioners have been reluctant to change litigation strategy on day one. But in the past, you haven't had an administration that was trying to create new laws via litigation, new market structure via litigation. That is too expansive to leave to enforcement. That should be a process of rulemaking.
Marco, thank you so much for joining our stream today. It was an absolute pleasure. And we hope to have you back on the show in the future to continue this conversation. Thank you.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
That was Kraken Senior Advisor Marco Santori. Nick, I want to just take a look at the live stream right now. We just saw incoming Vice President J.D. Vance walk in. We have President Joe Biden there with Vice President Kamala Harris standing beside him. Before I welcome our next guest in, I want to talk to you again about, what this moment means. Lay it out for our audience who's just joining us. What does this mean for the shifting regulatory outlook in the United States?
Yeah, I mean, I think people's expectations are that, as Marco was saying, there will be a shift in terms of how the agencies are pursuing, lawsuits and enforcement actions. Um, there's a lot of hope. I know, companies, the crypto industry put in a massive amount of money into political action committees ahead of the election, for the election. And their hope is that the result is a more favorable regulatory environment. I think the expectation is that that is something that will be delivered. How exactly is hard to say, but certainly market structure bills from Congress, stablecoin bills perhaps, and executive orders from Trump that not only direct the agencies to do whatever, but are kind of just saying the U.S. is going to be a friendlier place if you are a crypto startup and you want to launch a token, you want to trade something, you want to create financialize something. um, the expectations, I think, from the industry are that all of this is going to happen now, and at the very least, even if none of that happens, there will be fewer lawsuits and fewer enforcement actions against things like, is a token of security
Yeah.
based on how the SEC interprets it, for example. Um, that's not to say that the SEC will be, for sure, a less aggressive enforcer when it comes to actual, let's say more clear cut regulatory violations if people are scamming or whatever. Um, but I think the expectation, the hope is that there won't be any kind of just a registration violation lawsuit, for example.
All right, I'm going to pause there. It looks like incoming President Donald Trump. President-elect Donald Trump. Here he is, folks. While we watch this live, I'm going to welcome in a friend of the show and UC Berkeley lecturer, Hermine Wong. Hermine, what a time to join. We are taking
Everyone.
a look at President-elect Donald Trump walking into the inauguration ceremonies right now.
This is this is a new era for sure. Unusual to see, just like stepping back for a second. It's unusual to see a president who was voted out come back in, and this is going to be an interesting era that we're
Well,
coming to
y-
for all sorts of
unusual. It
reasons.
is the second time in history that this has happened. So you're right. This is an unusual circumstance to have a president who stepped out of office, comes back into office, and so I guess history is being made in multiple different ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And remember, like he's voted in this time by numbers that kind of dwarfed his numbers the first time he was voted
Mhm.
into office. So I think that we're seeing just a different Congress that he'll be interacting with in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
I know. You heard Nick, Marco, and I kind of talk about the regulatory shift, the regulatory change that this industry is expecting as we head deeper into 2025. I know we're going to talk about that in our next interview, but I just want to get your perspective. How soon do you think we see that regulatory shift once President-elect Trump takes office?
So regulations, I do want to say that regulations and guidance are different in scope. And so regulations, we talk a lot in this industry about wanting regulatory clarity. Some people as regulators would have argued, wait, you guys got a ton of guidance. Even at the SEC, you got the Dow report from a long time ago. But I think that what we're seeing with the Trump and Melania coins, truthfully, those are some of these initial gifts that the president-elect, soon to be president, gave to this industry of how bullish he is. um, on just this space. So the regulators, I think, are going to be in a wait and see approach, but scaling back a lot of the things that the Biden administration did by sitting on it or trying to find ways of actually curtailing it.
All right, Nick, we are going to let you go. We know that you are a busy man. You have much to do today as we prepare for a new administration here. Thank you for joining us on the stream, and we'll be watching your reporting on Coindesk.com. All right, Hermine, we are getting very close to the 12 p.m. hour. That is when President-elect Donald Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. JD Vance is going to be sworn in as vice president, I believe, just before him. So we'll see it on this live as we have our next conversation. I want to welcome our last guest of this live, Metallica CEO Marshall Hayner. Hey,
Thanks
Marshall.
for having me on, Jen. It's a pleasure. How are
Of
you?
course. Of course. So we've been talking a lot about what's going on today, what it means for the industry from different perspectives. I just want to get your perspective here. I know that you previously, as the CEO of Metallicus, dealt a lot with credit unions and the banking sector. Talk to us a little bit about your experience dealing with these sectors under the previous administration, how you expect that to change, and what that means for you as the CEO of the business.
Yeah, so a little bit about us and my background. Metallicus, we're building a network for banks and credit unions to connect and interface with the blockchain. We call it the Digital Banking Network. And in 2020, we actually applied to form a bank under the OCC charter at that time. That was a special charter for fintechs focused around cryptocurrency. I think it's been a very difficult time for banking and crypto over the past, I don't know, I guess you could say almost 8 years. It's been difficult because there haven't been federal guidelines and definitions of digital assets and assigned regulators. As Marco said earlier, you had an agency, the SEC, who under Chairman Gensler and under Joe Biden's office was very hostile towards crypto. And as you heard mentioned, kind of pursued a very unorthodox approach, which was regulation by enforcement. That really forced entrepreneurs outside of the United States to Singapore, to Europe, to other parts of the world. It really kind of sent a chilling effect. And you can see that Coinbase is now engaged in litigation, for example, with the FDIC to uncover some of these memos, what was happening. But I think with President Trump's incoming administration, it's going to be the most exciting time you've ever seen for cryptocurrency. I myself have been around for quite some time, about a decade and a half. So I've watched our space go from nascent, hobbyists and, early tech people to the largest Fortune 500, Fortune 50 companies, even such as BlackRock, getting involved in the blockchain. So I predict over the next few years, you're going to see kind of a resurgence. And if you remember, in 2020, there were the OCC memos, the interpretive memos around stablecoins, banks' abilities to issue stablecoins, run nodes, and participate in blockchain networks. I think we're going to see that come online. And I think that we'll also finally have the opportunity to hold Bitcoin in our bank. And I think that's really important for going mainstream.
Have you had any conversations with the incoming administration? You heard me ask Marco the same question earlier. I know many in leadership roles in this industry have had conversations with the administration over the past few months. Have you?
Yeah, so I haven't spoken with Trump's team directly, but I have had some opportunity. Like we had our live stream with Congressman Byron Donalds and some other people from the Financial Services Committee. And I think that there is, again, like Marco said, I don't want to expose any private conversations, but what I'm seeing is a lot of excitement about embracing blockchain. You obviously, everyone in crypto saw Trump's meme coin launch. It was almost like a signal to the world. Uh, the United States is open to blockchain, open to new technologies. We're going to stop the regulation by enforcement. We're going to start to welcome them in, and that's really the kind of the feedback that I've gotten from Congress members, from those in office, and the regulatory conversation. I think it depends on which agency you're talking to, obviously. But I also would say that even during the past 4 years where it's been difficult, you have the regulators are interfacing with crypto companies. They are talking with them. And I think that this is going to be, like I said, the most exciting time, because now you have, for the first time in United States history, a president who openly embraces blockchain, who's very excited about it. And blockchain's not that old. It's a little over 15 years old. And now we're finally going to have the opportunity to get that federal clarity of assigned regulators, different types of digital assets, and it just wasn't there before. So I think that's going to open up the floodgates. And if you look at like BlackRock coming into the space, imagine all of the largest financial institutions starting to launch not just pilots or experiments, but actual live products for consumers and for enterprise.
I'd like to ask you if you could just gaze into your crystal ball of what you would like to see in an executive order, setting aside the flashy stuff, right? Like the strategic Bitcoin reserve or pardoning Ross Ulbricht. What might you want to see in one of these initial executive orders that would give some real clarity to the industry?
Yeah, these 2020 memos that were written at the OCC by Jonathan Gould were fantastic. I would like to see that get picked back up. That was just starting to gain momentum right before Biden came into office. So these memos, for those that are not familiar, it was the right for banks under OCC National Association members to custody crypto, to issue stable coins, and to run nodes in a blockchain network. And I thought that was huge progress. Unfortunately, when Biden came in, that was immediately squashed. Not only was it squashed, it was really kind of a complete 180 in the direction of the acceptance by the federal regulators of recognizing crypto as money. And really, that's what we need to be doing to move our technology and economic policy towards digital assets and blockchain forward. It really positions us on a world stage to become leaders. And I think we lost about 4 years of time. Meme coins, all that stuff, that's fun for people that are playing with crypto, but it's not serious, like stable coins, and has been this conversation of CBDC. I have always been a fan of private stable coins because when I compare it to, for example, like the parcel service, I want to use FedEx. I don't maybe I'm not going to use USPS to get something overnight like a business document. That's kind of how I see, for example, like Circle USDC or PayPal Dollar, or what we're working on at Metallicus with Metal Dollar. I would like to see clear guidelines for banks, for credit unions, and financial institutions to integrate cryptocurrency. Who are the assigned regulators? How do they operate? That's really been one of the things that's been lacking. So I'd like to see those memos picked back up. And I'd like to see a change in guard over at the SEC. I think the CFTC has been, very straightforward with crypto, but the SEC has been one of those murky areas that has given entrepreneurs pause, and I think it also has prevented really, banks and larger companies from entering the crypto space. So, ability to custody crypto, our stablecoin policy, if that's not going to be towards CBDC, which I'm totally fine with. I know many people are against it. I know President Trump has said something against it. That's fine because we already have the FedEx of crypto. It's already operating, right? We already have Circle USDC and other popular stable coins. So, just give it, when you look at the EU and MiCA, we need that in the United States. We should have had that a long time before EU. And I love the EU. My co-founder is from Belgium, but I think the United States really needs to catch up here. And so this is our big opportunity.
All right, last question here before we take this live stream live, so our audience can watch the swearing in ceremony of the vice president, the incoming vice president and president. Is I want to ask you: do you think crypto as an industry is ready to be up there in the ranks with AI? And the reason I ask you this is because we have an AI and crypto czar in the incoming administration, and that really kind of levels crypto up to not just this industry that we all operate in that really takes up much of our lives, but everyone outside doesn't really understand it. It really levels it up to a technology that is defining the future of humankind. Are we ready?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been involved in crypto when it was just a joke, right? I mean, I'm not saying it was a joke, but those are the early days, like Dogecoin, right? I think uh, that's where we started, and where we are now is blockchain is really going to be the rails, the networks that are going to underpin and connect financial institutions globally. When you look at AI, if machines are going to become sentient, or we're going to reach AGI, how are they going to pay each other? How are they going to interact? So these two technologies really do go hand in hand. And I think that cryptocurrency is probably one of the most important technologies to move the world forward in terms of if you just look at what the internet did for e-commerce and did for business, everything runs on the internet now. Blockchain is going to empower the global economy. So I don't really think that AI can grow like it should be able to grow without blockchain, and they really go hand in hand. So I think we're ready. It's, people are have at this point, most Americans have heard of Bitcoin. They've heard of digital currency. You can buy digital currency in PayPal. You have Coinbase. You have MetalPay, Robinhood. You have unlimited number of apps, and it's only a matter of time before machines start to use blockchain. And that's I see the convergence of AI really happening over the next few years, because not only blockchain was something that I think was stifled under the previous administration, but also you may have heard that AI was a conversation under Biden's administration that they really wanted to, corral it in and not allow companies to grow. And that's something, when you look at EU, the AI industry is not exploding over there because the regulations have stifled it so much. So this is really America's time to shine. I'm very excited for the Trump administration and how they're going to position AI and blockchain together. And like I said, they go hand in hand. And when they can operate together in a clear environment, we're going to see an absolute explosion of this industry, and a lot of companies that left a while back potentially coming back very soon.
All right, Marshall, we are going to have to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Hermine, we are just about getting ready to see the swearing in ceremony. What a time. I've been watching the comments come in under the video, and I've seen a few. What a time to be alive is happening. Let's just take it live now. We're going to go live. Let's listen in.
As First Lady, we thank you for the beauty, the warmth, and grace that she shows not only to this nation, but to the whole world. We thank you for Vice President-elect J.D. Vance and his wife Usha and their young family. May he be a strength to President Trump, to stand beside him, to hold up his arms like Aaron held up the arms of Moses in the midst of battle. The prophet Samuel reminded the people, it was you that brought them up from the land of Egypt. And he said, now stand still, that I may reason with you before the Lord. So, Father, we take this moment to stand still, to remember the great things that you have done for this nation. Thank you for the protection, the bounty, the freedoms that we so enjoy. We remember to keep our eyes fixed on you, and may our hearts be inclined to your voice. We know that America can never be great again if we turn our backs on you. We ask for your help, and we pray all of this in the name of the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, your Son, my Savior, and our Redeemer, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Associate Justice Kavanaugh to administer the Vice Presidential Oath of Office.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, James David Vance, do solemnly swear
I, James David Vance, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same,
and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
on which I am about to enter.
on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
welcome Chief Justice Roberts to administer the presidential oath of office.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
It is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you the 45th and the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, everybody. Well, thank you very, very much. Vice President Vance, Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune, Chief Justice Roberts, Justices of the United States Supreme Court, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, President Biden, Vice President Harris, and my fellow citizens. The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. And our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. Our liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. Over the past 8 years, I have been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much. That is why each day under our administration of American patriots, we will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. It is my hope that our recent presidential election will be remembered as the greatest and most consequential election in the history of our country. As our victory showed, the entire nation is rapidly unifying behind our agenda with dramatic increases in support from virtually every element of our society, young and old, men and women, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, urban, suburban, rural, and very importantly, we had a powerful win in all 7 swing states, and the popular vote, we won by millions of people. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor, we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true. National unity is now returning to America, and confidence and pride is soaring like never before. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country, we will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God. Can't do that. Today, I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense. First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And by invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities. As Commander-in-Chief, I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasions, and that is exactly what I am going to do. We will do it at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Next, I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill. America will be a manufacturing nation once again, and we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. We're going to use it. We will bring prices down, fill our strategic reserves up again, right to the top, and export American energy all over the world. We will be a rich nation again, and it is that liquid gold under our feet that will help to do it. With my actions today, we will end the Green New Deal, and we will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry and keeping my sacred pledge to our great American auto workers. In other words, you'll be able to buy the car of your choice. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt possible just a few years ago. And thank you to the auto workers of our nation for your inspiring vote of confidence. We did tremendously with their vote. I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before to restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government. My administration will establish the brand new Department of Government Efficiency. Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents, something I know something about. We will not allow that to happen. It will not happen again. Under my leadership, we will restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. And we are going to bring law and order back to our cities. This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. This week, I will reinstate any service members who were unjustly expelled from our military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. And I will sign an order to stop our warriors from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. It's going to end immediately. Our armed forces will be freed to focus on their sole mission, defeating America's enemies. Like in 2017, we will again build the strongest military the world has ever seen. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families. Thank you. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world. A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs. President McKinley made our country very rich through tariffs and through talent. He was a natural businessman and gave Teddy Roosevelt the money for many of the great things he did, including the Panama Canal, which has foolishly been given to the country of Panama after the United States. The United States, I mean, think of this, spent more money than ever spent on a project before and lost 38,000 lives in the building of the Panama Canal. We have been treated very badly from this foolish gift that should have never been made, and Panama's promise to us has been broken. The purpose of our deal and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships are being severely overcharged and not treated fairly in any way, shape, or form, and that includes the United States Navy. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. Above all, my message to Americans today is that it is time for us to once again act with courage, vigor, and the vitality of history's greatest civilization. So as we liberate our nation, we will lead it to new heights of victory and success. We will not be deterred. Together we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free. The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful horizons. And we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars. Ambition is the lifeblood of a great nation. And right now, our nation is more ambitious than any other. There's no nation like our nation. Americans are explorers, builders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneers. The spirit of the frontier is written into our hearts. The call of the next great adventure resounds from within our souls. Our American ancestors turned a small group of colonies on the edge of a vast continent into a mighty republic of the most extraordinary citizens on earth. No one comes close. Americans pushed thousands of miles through a rugged land of untamed wilderness. They crossed deserts, scaled mountains, braved untold dangers, won the Wild West, ended slavery, rescued millions from tyranny, lifted billions from poverty, harnessed electricity, split the atom, launched mankind into the heavens, and put the universe of human knowledge into the palm of the human hand. If we work together, there is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. Many people thought it was impossible for me to stage such a historic political comeback. But as you see today, here I am. The American people have spoken. I stand before you now as proof that you should never believe that something is impossible to do. In America, the impossible is what we do best. From New York to Los Angeles, from Philadelphia to Phoenix, from Chicago to Miami, from Houston to right here in Washington, D.C., our country was forged and built by the generations of patriots who gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. They were farmers and soldiers, cowboys and factory workers, steel workers and coal miners, police officers and pioneers who pushed onward, marched forward, and let no obstacle defeat their spirit or their pride. Together they laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, built great highways, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and triumphed over every single challenge that they faced. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. With your help, we will restore America, promise, and we will rebuild the nation that we love, and we love it so much. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So to every parent who dreams for their child, and every child who dreams for their future, I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We are going to win like never before. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In recent years, our nation has suffered greatly, but we are going to bring it back and make it great again, greater than ever before. We will be a nation like no other, full of compassion, courage, and exceptionalism. Our power will stop all wars and bring a new spirit of unity to a world that has been angry, violent, and totally unpredictable. America will be respected again and admired again, including by people of religion, faith, and goodwill. We will be prosperous. We will be proud. We will be strong, and we will win like never before. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, performing America the Beautiful, please welcome the Armed Forces Chorus and Carrie Underwood.
And welcome back to our stream. I'm Jen Sanasi here with Hermine Wong. We just witnessed the speech of the 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, and Hermine, crypto was not mentioned once.
No, we got a lot of other things besides crypto. And he did make some overtures to tech generally. And bringing car manufacturing back and going to Mars, but he didn't talk anything about crypto, which I think would surprise our industry certainly. Like What did Polymarket have to say about it, for example, Jen?
I mean, I have a polymarket contract up here on what will Trump say during the inauguration speech. There are a bunch of different options on here. People are expecting crypto, Bitcoin, or Dogecoin when it comes to the crypto related topics. We did hear him mention the Department of Government Efficiency, which, if you abbreviate that, is Doge. So I don't know if that ticks that box, but really no mention of crypto. Given the amount of support he received from the crypto community, given the amount of money his campaign received from the crypto community, it is, I think, surprising to us in this industry. But if we kind of zoom out and look at it from a broader perspective, I I don't know. I was kind of 50-50 on if we were going to hear it anyways.
Yeah, I think that that's reasonable. I like the one, so we definitely heard the themes he touched on big time in his own campaign, right? There's the southern border issues,
Mhm.
there's our energy issues where he wants to open up a lot of oil drilling, and there's certainly the economy and imposing tariffs, which is not something we always think about when it comes to free market, but nevertheless, it's something big on his campaign platform. So we heard those issues. And then I suspect that with crypto, perhaps there's a belief that the industry should take a lot of comfort with the timing of his meme coin and how, when he decided to release that.
Mhm.
So that may very well be the overture and the emphasis to his point of, look, we're going to be deregulatory. I'm not going to start regulating all of this stuff out of existence. Instead, I'm going to allow for the markets to work as they should. And here is my own personal brand I'm putting on the line to emphasize that point.
Well, let's take a look at the markets. A lot of people expecting Bitcoin to soar after the swearing in of Donald Trump. It is lower than when we started the show off at almost $102,000 right now. As you know, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high early this morning, getting above $109,000. But Hermine, you just mentioned his meme coin, Trump. It is also down from when we started the show. I believe when we started the show, it was at around $50. It's below 40 now at $37.48. And Melania's meme coin also down from when we started the show at about $5. So maybe a little bit of a sell the news event happening. We'll just have to wait and see how markets react. But from if we kind of zoom out a little bit, I just want to get your perspective. Like, we've had so many conversations on the show today, but practically, what needs to happen for these things that we're talking about to come to fruition, to actually be real, and for this industry to start going in the direction that we all want it to go in? It's not just one person who has an impact on these. It's not just one executive order. So I'd love to hear your thoughts there. What needs to happen?
Truthfully, if I were to see an executive order that I thought would really move the way towards mass adoption in the United States, I would look for some way of the government actually adopting digital assets and crypto in the way that they do things. So, for example, and this is just me brainstorming, right? Tax payments paid in crypto in some fashion, right? If there were ways of, if Trump, you may remember that back in when Mayor Adams of New York was elected, he said he would take his own salary in, I believe, Bitcoin. If you could see that, could federal government workers take part of their salary in crypto? Would the president want to take some of his salary in crypto? Uh, Again, those kinds of things that would suggest that the government itself is adopting crypto for its own infrastructure and plumbing outside of just this Bitcoin reserve. So outside of just hedging against inflation, actually using it,
Mhm.
I think would signal to the masses that we're really approaching mass adoption.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And we've talked about a few different bills on the show today, a few different things that could happen. One of them being the stablecoin bill, which honestly, for as long as I can remember, we've been talking about the stablecoin bill and is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? If we are to get more clear crypto regulation, do you think the stablecoin bill is the first one that we're going to see make it past the finish line?
Jen, I'm with you. I've heard about this stablecoin bill, or some iteration of it for, I feel like, over 4 years now, right? Like, this is all throughout the Biden administration. And so maybe I, but also there's a sense of maybe it's not flashy enough for this president, right? So maybe this president will have some conversations and say, look, I don't want just some boring stablecoin bill that has nothing to do with my brand and what I think is important for free markets. So let's do something bigger and huger. I don't know how he would use his terms, but like, something like that. I think that that would be something we could definitely see as well. And, I would put it on equal odds of stable coins being like low hanging fruit, but also not all that interesting to this president.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. We started off this stream talking about the crypto ball that happened on Friday, and I love hearing your commentary about the events that happen in this industry and I guess what they mean from a broader perspective. So I want to just bring it back to where we started. That crypto ball. What does that meeting of the minds, that fervor of event tell you about what we can expect over the next 4 years?
So when I looked at the crypto ball, I was reminded of during the Obama administration when a lot of Obama staffers love to attend the White House Correspondents' Dinner and call it Nerd Prom. And it had its own hashtag throughout. I felt that same kind of, I don't know, energy on social media about crypto ball. It's like finding your people and it's being legitimized in this very big way, and you're getting the red carpet treatment for, back in the day it was like the red carpet treatment, I guess, for being policy nerds, and now you're getting the red carpet treatment for being crypto devotees. And I can't tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Obviously, White House Correspondents' Dinner, not quite what it used to be after Trump was elected, and now with the crypto ball, we'll see if it becomes a kind of staple of inauguration day, a staple of the Trump administration, or if it was something where people just wanted to come together and throw a ton of money because we're throwing a ton of money. But when the bear market comes, and this is what we live through all the time in crypto, right? Like we have highs and we have lows in the way that the general market doesn't see often. And so we know that as much as we're riding a high right now, we'll be riding a low at some point too. And will we still be throwing these kinds of crypto balls with Snoop Dogg at the helm?
All right, Hermine, just before we wrap this up, I want to ask you, just from your perspective. Of course, you're a lecturer at Berkeley, former SEC special counsel, former head of policy at Coinbase. Please correct me if I got that title wrong. How should crypto firms be moving forward now? We have this new administration. How should companies be thinking and operating? And on the flip side, how should folks who invest in crypto, retail traders, be looking at crypto? Is there anything that folks should still kind of be wary of?
Wow, two really different populations. So how should firms, companies be approaching crypto? I think that there are probably two different kinds of firms that we're thinking about, right? There's the big players, so like the Coinbases and the and the A16Zs and the Ripples of this world, and then there is the startups of this world. And I think that they have probably two very different ways of influencing the landscape in the future. We see with Coinbase and Ripple and A16Z, a lot of donations have been going directly to this administration and the campaign funds. I think that if you're going to be a startup right now, you want to probably take advantage of the momentum you're having to build and launch as quickly as possible. Whether that's good or bad for the public later on, that's for the dust to settle. But right now, you're being given a really wide berth to do and launch as quickly as possible, incentivized to do that. And maybe we'll see a lot of great things happening. On the flip side, and you talk about the retail side, I think there's going to be a lot of people trying to capture some of this volatility. Certainly, we're seeing new entrants come in, but probably of the lower age brackets, right? Where, like, as people get older, their risk tolerances can be higher with some of these things, and these new products and services. I'll just say that while a lot of companies will be launching new products and services, we'll probably see some harm coming introduced to some of these retail folks who don't necessarily know what's behind all of this tech. And we don't yet have guardrails for that. So I just say to them, like, do a lot of your research, and your research should go beyond social media.
Hermine, it was such a pleasure co-hosting part of this live stream with you. Thank you so much for joining me and watching the inauguration ceremony, watching Donald Trump take that oath of office. I'm sure that you'll be back on CoinDesk TV soon to unpack some of the developments.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
And thank you to our audience for watching. It was so lovely. I think we got up to 130,000 people watching the stream at one time. We are going to be following the story when it comes to crypto and policy on Coindesk.com. So if you don't already regularly visit our page, do so. Our amazing reporters, some of whom join this stream, are reporting every day on regulation and policy. And on Thursday, Renato Mariotti and I will be hosting our crypto and policy live stream right here on Twitter. So subscribe to our X account. Sorry, I don't know what to call this. Twitter, X. Subscribe to